Love, Simon during its release was a cultural phenomenon. I remember in 2018, the year it was aired, everybody was talking about it. It was advertised everywhere, revered as this breakthrough film, one that normalized gay romance. By using the typical tropes seen in teen rom-coms, the nuclear family, the nerdy principal, the awkward teen, Love, Simon showed that gay love doesn't have to be shocking or subversive. It can be an experience, one that any developing teen can go through. As one blogger and reviewer, Robert Ebert, states, Love, Simon is a mainstream-style teenage rom-com that uses every cliche in the book. There's the nerdy vice principal, the bacchanalian high school party, supportive yet somewhat clueless parents, a witty voiceover from the protagonist, public declarations of love in front of the whole school, all held together by a stream of catchy pop tunes. But Love, Simon's use of these cliches represents a huge first, because it's a story of a young closeted gay kid's difficult and often humorous march towards coming out. Suffice to say, Love, Simon was universally loved, receiving a 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb and a whopping 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. I watched it in 2019, nearly a year after its release, and I gotta say, this movie made me want to fight the very next person in my general vicinity. If a 5-year-old eating a lollipop were to stroll in front of me right after I finished this movie and angrily slam my laptop, they would have gotten slit, and they would only have this stupid movie to blame. This movie instilled such an irrational anger in me that I literally wrote 8 pages of notes detailing every little thing that annoyed me about this film. From the terrible song choices to the weirdly stereotypical portrayal of black characters, this movie just pissed me off. It did not live up to the hype. But after a couple years of having experienced more life, I can say, I still don't like this movie. I just don't. However, now I have the range to articulate just why this film irritated me to the point of dubious morality. If you enjoyed Love, Simon, please don't hurt me, I'm sorry. It's not like I think that Love, Simon is the worst movie in the world. There's a lot of moments that I enjoy and some jokes that I get a good chuckle out of. However, I do think that its messages on queer love are shallow at best and kind of weird at worst. So like, if this movie made your skin glow and saved your dog from being devoured by the Fusa, I implore you to please just watch this video to the end. Without further ado, here's why I hate Love, Simon. Oh my god. Have you heard? Have you not been glued to your phone for the past 4 years like I have? I mean, literally glued. I can't get this thing off my hand. The scandal, the mess, the drama. We're actually talking about fictional 17-year-olds. Love, Simon follows Simon Spear, a teen living in the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia, who's just like you. If you're cis, white, middle class, and living a near-perfect life in a beautiful home. Dude, when I was in high school, we couldn't afford toilet paper, so I had to wipe my ass with a cardboard roll in the middle. But okay, I guess. Anyways, Simon's just like you, except he's gay. He also has 3 friends, Abby, Nick, and Leah, of which, par for the course for teen rom-coms, he'll inevitably have a huge falling out with. Pretty much the plot of the film starts when, in the town's gossip forum known as Creek Secrets, someone known only as Blue anonymously makes a post stating that they too are closeted gay. Oh my god. Simon hits them up like, lol, same, emphasizing once again just how average and normal he really is. He, like, really needs you to know that. And they end up emailing back and forth, slowly getting closer and closer the more they speak. The movie does this thing where every time it shows the emails, the ones from Blue are read by the last person that Simon imagined that he was. For example, the opening scene, Simon is drooling over this big titty landscaper from across the street, and so the first few emails are read in his voice, essentially showing that Simon is imagining the landscaper as possibly being Blue. It's a nice touch, I think. Like, it really threw me off the scent of who Blue really was. Not to say I have this huge, gargantuan, throbbing brain, but I tend to be pretty good at guessing the end result with movies like this, but I really had no idea who Blue was until the last scene. Anyway, it's all going well and good until, for whatever reason, Simon is emailing Blue on the school's library computer, even though he's literally only been using his phone and his personal computer up until this point. Like, if you're really trying to hide your secret love affair with a primary color, you'd think that the last place you'd match them is on a big-ass screen in the middle of a public place where any passerby can see exactly what you're doing. Then to top it off, he just forgets to log out of his Gmail, which allows Martin to screenshot his emails, read through them, and use them to blackmail Simon. Now you might be wondering, who the fuck is Martin? And why would he want to blackmail our sweet and deeply average baby boy Simon? Why is Taj prompting all these questions? Are they stalling? Yes. Martin. Sorry, I said his name and my entire body just started burning with a white-hot fury. Martin is the main antagonist of the film. He's a socially inept creep who's in the drama club with Simon and Abby and has a crush on her. Abby, however, wants nothing to do with her, either because he has the same built-in bad vibes as the Mucinex D monster, or because despite her always showing her lack of interest, he just refuses to leave her alone. Like in one scene, Abby shows that she's not even willing to give this boy a handshake, and he's still like, maybe woo. Out of all the movie antagonists I've seen in film, this jar of rotting mayonnaise pisses me off the most. I'm not kidding, I hate Martin with my whole soul. So Martin takes these emails and says, look, I'm a piece of shit. So if you get Abby to like me, I won't out you to the whole town, who by the way has known homophobes who literally never get any repercussions for their constant harassment. Simon, who's not ready to come out yet, agrees and invites him along to this Halloween party being thrown by one of the jocks as an opportunity to get closer to Abby. It doesn't go well.
Oh, really? Really?
While this is happening, Simon is still trying to figure out who Blue is, and he's now beginning to suspect Bram, who's the jock that threw the party. But even though there's this really cute scene where they end up playing Beirut together, his hopes are shattered when he catches him kissing another girl, and we're back to square one. When they get home, Leah and Simon have this moment together where Leah is about to confess her feelings, but doesn't, because she needs a reason to get angry at him later in the movie. Martin starts to put more pressure on Simon because Abby doesn't like him yet. And even though Simon makes it clear that if his emails were to leak, that Blue would never speak to him again, Martin says,
I don't want to have to leak your emails.
All right, but I will. Look, you cannot bring Blue into this, okay? If he found out that my emails got leaked, he'd get totally freaked. All right, he'd never talk to me again.
Yeah, probably not.
geez, dude, you are scum. Like, you are so terrible. Look at this dude's face and tell me he does not know exactly what he's doing. Anyway, Simon concedes and invites Abby along with them to practice lines for the school play at a restaurant. That's the word I was looking for. At a restaurant called Waffle House. I'm not sure if this is like a chain or something. We don't have Waffle Houses here. Now, I can't stress to you enough how much I loathe this scene. It seems like this movie is trying to do this weird thing where they frame Martin as this awkward guy that really does like Abby, but just doesn't know how to talk to her. You know, he's terrible, but like in a pitiful, nerdy kind of way. But the thing is, Martin is actively malicious. Like, he's legit a menace. So they're trying to practice lines for the show, right? But Martin, for whatever reason, keeps trying to bring up Abby's traumatic past. She moved from DC to Atlanta because her dad cheated on her mom, so they ended up getting a divorce. But like, he doesn't need to know that. We don't need to know that. We don't need to know this girl's business. But of course, because plot, she tells him, and he responds by saying she deserves a goddamn superhero. You know, you would think after this weird invasive attempt at trauma bonding that Martin would like leave it here, giving Abby just a little bit of solace as a small victory. But no, he says to Abby to stand up and declare in front of the whole restaurant that her name is Abby Sousa and she deserves a goddamn superhero. And when she goes, no, that's fucking stupid, he proceeds to stand up in the booth in front of the whole restaurant and keep screaming at Abby and about Abby until she does what he says, gets up, and announces that in front of the whole restaurant. The movie tries to play this completely straight. Like, they play inspirational music in the background. At the end of the scene, Abby is smiling a bit awkwardly, and in the next scene, the first line she says is, Martin is actually kind of cool. Maybe I just have this intense fear of public humiliation, but bitch, excuse me? Was that supposed to be cute? Was I supposed to agree with Abby and be like, wow, maybe Martin isn't so bad? No, we as the audience actively know that Martin pulled all the strings for this to happen. He blackmailed Simon into getting him on this date. He, in an extremely inorganic way, by the way, gets Abby to spill about her family issues just to straight up set up this strange, hollow gesture. Martin isn't doing this to motivate Abby or anything. He's exploiting her trauma to manipulate her into dating him. And it seems like the actor for Martin knows this because, Jesus Christ, he looks like the ShamWow guy. But instead of trying to get you to buy non-absorbent hand towels, he's trying to get you to buy that he wants anything other than coochie. But the movie and subsequently Abby make this complete 180 where it sort of seems like they want us to root for him. And they kind of do that for the rest of the film. Simon actually comes out to Abby right after they leave Waffle House, and there's not really much to say about that. She says she loves him, Simon tells Blue about it, and that's the scene. But back to Martin. He thinks he's got this in the bag. Bro had her smiling at Waffle House, got her giggling at his questionable jokes.
Hey, what do you get when you get black and Jewish?
What?
Bluish.
That's me.
Hey, what does that mean, Martin? Look into my retinas. What does that mean, my guy? Apparently, it's believed that this line was supposed to be like a hint towards who Blue actually is. Because, spoiler alert, Bram is blue, Blue is Jewish, Bram is also black, so that makes Bram bluish? I don't know, but does that not sound a little problematic? Especially when it's said by this nigga? And it's followed by Abby saying, that's kinda mean? But he's like, she's into me, I'ma do one last big grand gesture at the last football game of the season, and we'll be together forever, happily ever after. Dude pitches this idea to Simon, who's just like fed up at this point, so he's just like, do whatever you want, man. Like, go big or go home. So Martin, who either doesn't understand sarcasm or is completely delusional, is like, big bet. Proceeds to go up in front of the entire football stadium, snatch his microphone out this girl's hand, and proceed to ask Abby out to prom in front of the whole school. And like, I guess we're supposed to be rooting for him here too, because the music is back, and even the people in the stadium are like, please say yes, even though he just interrupted the whole game without warning? It would be one thing if Martin knew that this would woo Abby. If he like talked to the principal about it and planned all this whole thing instead of taking the spotlight away from this girl's admittedly mediocre singing. Like somehow he planned enough to bring a cage full of live doves, but not enough to like ask to speak in advance. Where were your priorities, my dude? And then like, obviously she says no. She just started tolerating you enough to hold a conversation with you and fake laugh at your jokes. Why would she say yes? This is the climax of the film for two reasons. One, it's the first and only time that Abby directly rejected Martin, and it was in front of the whole school. So now not only is it clear to him that Abby will never like him, he's also embarrassed himself so badly that he becomes a literal meme. Two, Simon's lies start to unravel. See, Nick from the start of the movie had a very clear interest in Abby, expressing multiple times to Simon the desire to ask her out. So in order to keep that from happening, Simon had to lie to Nick to convince her that asking her out just wouldn't go well. First, he says that she was messing with a guy that's more experienced than him, and when that doesn't work, he then tells her that her and Martin are a thing. But Abby rejects Martin right in front of Nick. So clearly someone's not being truthful. This all comes to a head when on Christmas Day, the day of our Lord, Martin leaks Simon's emails on Creek Secrets, both outing him and doxing him, literally telling people to email him for butt stuff. I have no words. Like, I don't even know how I'm supposed to feel about this scene, because even as Martin is doxing Simon, they try to play him off as quirky, but like, he's just terrible.
Simon Spear has a secret male pen pal because he's gay. Interested parties may contact him directly to discuss arrangements for butt sex. Ladies need not apply.
Is that supposed to be funny? Now Simon has been outed not just as gay, but as I said 2 seconds ago, a liar. So his friends are about to jump him. I'm joking, but they do all yell at him. Nick starts chewing him out first, then after Simon tells them what's been happening, Abby drops this bar?
I'm not a piece of meat, Simon. You know how hard it was for me to start over.
Granted, she has a bit of a point, but wouldn't that be more correctly aimed at Martin? The one who threatened to destroy Simon's relationship unless he found a way to stop you from getting with anybody else? Then Leah is like, I liked you, and you set me up to get my heart broke. You set yourself up. How many times were you about to confess? Like, she had ample time to tell Simon that she liked him and just didn't, even when Simon sets her up on a date with Nick. Why did you not just correct him right then and there? Oh, right. It's because you needed a reason to get mad at him later in the movie. I.e., right now. It would have been so much more realistic if she was just like, why didn't you tell me you were being harassed? I'm your best friend. But no, we get this weird, incomprehensible bullshit. So now Simon's been outed, and he has no friends. Double homicide. He still has to go to school though, so he goes alone, getting stares from everybody and some weird backhanded sympathy from the principal. At lunch, he's looking for a place to sit when he literally gets hate crimed. Oh, trigger warning for stupid stuff and homophobia, I guess, but it's mostly just stupid. Remember how I said that there are known homophobes in this school that literally get no repercussions for their constant harassment? Well, here they are, doing a makeshift scene, cosplaying as Ethan and Simon. Apparently, these pieces of wet Wonder Bread decided that after Simon came out, they'd harass him by pretending to be him and Ethan and acting like they're in a gay relationship? Or, like, is the joke that they're into shitty BDSM? I don't know. Like, how am I supposed to be laughing at the gays when you're literally twerking on the lunch table? Fellas, if you want to play dress up, you don't have to be homophobic. Just be your authentic selves. Nobody laughs because they're in high school, not literally 5 years old, and they get yelled at by Miss Albright and sent to the principal's office. Miss Albright's gay, by the way. Did I mention that? A little icon, I want to be here. Simon and Ethan go to the principal's office too because, like, school is dumb, and of course, the homophobes once again get no repercussions, they just have to apologize. We do get this really telling scene with Ethan though, where he says to Simon that he could have just came out to him, being literally the only out gay kid there. Simon says that he was jealous because it seems to have been so easy for Ethan since he's been out for years, which... Huh? I'll show you what Ethan actually says later because I want to come back to this scene, but like, Simon, you literally watched him be bullied multiple times. Sure, Ethan handles them flawlessly because he's a deity, but like, harassment doesn't stop being harassment just because you have a sassy comeback? It was here that I realized, and this may be a little controversial, this story should have been about Ethan. I will defend this more later because the summary has taken enough tangents, but this movie should have been about Ethan. I don't even care. So now Simon is literally having the worst day ever and is just trying to leave the school. But here comes Martin, the worst guy ever, chasing after him in the parking lot, blubbering and shit. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't think that would happen. I didn't know people were still like that. So why is this nigga's ass still unbeat? We just gonna let this man get to the end of the movie with an unbeat ass? Yes, you did know. You mean to tell me you live in a small town with a bunch of people you grew up with and you just had no idea about the resident homophobes? You had no idea that these people, whose only personality trait is loudly hating gay people, existed in your school. You must think I'm smoking dick. No, why is this boy not getting his ass beat right now? Simon rightfully yells at him and ends the conversation by saying that regardless of the intention, it was never his story to tell. But sadly, he doesn't slide him. Damn. So when Simon gets home, he's sad and angry, and his therapist's mother is waiting in the living room to speak to him. Up until this point, he hadn't really had a conversation with his family about his sexuality. He came out when he was outed, but after that, he just started sort of avoiding them. Big mood. She basically says him coming out does not mean he's not him anymore, and that now he can be more Simon than he ever was before. And like, wise words, 10 out of 10, made me cry. Then his dad talks to him and starts like sobbing and apologizing and says he loves him, and like, cute dilf, made me cry, 10 out of 10. In between those two encounters, Simon reconciled with Leah, who quickly forgave him, and all of this gives Simon enough confidence to officially come out on Creek Secrets and also apologize for lying to his friends. He professes his love for Blue and tells them that if he feels the same, to meet them at the Ferris wheel at the county fair, which I neglected to mention up until this point, my bad. The Ferris wheel is significant though, because in Blue's first email, he says that he feels like that he's on a Ferris wheel, like on an emotional high 1 second and then at the bottom the next. So yeah. Symbolism. The school play is the same night as the fair, so after the performance and a quick reconciliation with Abby and Nick, they head to the Ferris wheel. The whole school gathers around because they nosy as fuck, and he waits for hours and hours until...
Wait! Simon, it's me. I'm Blue.
No. Fuck no. I will eat my laptop. I will shit on the ceiling. Martin cannot be Blue. I will literally...
No, you're not.
Oh, wait. I already know who Blue is. It's Bram.
And you're Jewish.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
And I'm black, too. And gay.
Damn. That's a triple homicide. And that's the end of the movie. A cute ending wrapping everything up with the rainbow bow. A rainbow, if you will. I was supposed to be reading all of this like I was spreading gossip, but like, I don't know how to spread gossip. Bad bitches don't gossip. Love, Simon as a movie was pretty mid. It was meant to be a very stereotypical rom-com with a little fruity twist, and I think it accomplished that. I think if you weren't the type of person that nitpicks literally everything that they watch, like a starved crow who's watched too much CinemaSins, then this is a perfectly mediocre film to turn on and then completely forget about. Unfortunately for you though, I like shiny things and destroying everybody's happiness. So I have several gripes with this film, and I will start with fucking Martin. Okay, So I know I already established just how deplorable Martin is. I doubt that anybody who's watching this right now is like a Martin stan. So I swear I'm not gonna go on another rant about how he should have been assaulted, but I truly don't understand what this movie is trying to say about him and people like him. Martin is obviously the main antagonist of the story. Nobody really likes him except for Abby for like 10 minutes. Simon consistently calls him out for being a blackmailer and just a pathetic person in general. And whenever we see him in the movie, he's either by himself or with Siraj, who like doesn't even seem to be his friend either. He's just some random dude that he shouts at. But, and maybe it's just me, I feel like this movie does a very lackluster job of confronting what Martin is and what he has done. Almost every scene with Martin is clearly meant to be played for comedy. From the opening scene where he's trying to make awkward conversation with Abby, who's giving the gnarliest white person style that I've ever seen in my life, to the scene where he tosses his stank ass shirt at Martin and insists he tell him which part of him is the sexiest. Okay. One more time. How is this ass still on beat? Martin is supposed to be the type of antagonist that's bad, but like, in a charming and endearing kind of way. Only he's just terrible. Let's be real. Martin, if not an active homophobe himself, is actively using homophobia as leverage for his own personal gain. Though Martin never explicitly makes any judgments about Simon's identity, he's aware of the weight of it. Like, before Simon even makes it clear that his sexuality is a secret, he's already planning on using it to blackmail him. He knows that there are consequences to outing Simon, yet despite this heaviness, the seriousness of Martin's actions permeating throughout the film, it hardly ever gets addressed in any real or tangible way. I think the scene right after Martin has outed Simon illustrates this best. When Simon is shouting at Martin, he says,
I don't care if you didn't think that my coming out was gonna be a big thing, Martin. Look, you don't get to decide that. I'm supposed to be the one that decides when and where and how and who knows and how I get to say it. That's supposed to be my thing. And you took that away from me.
Here, we see both Simon and the film's stance on outing. That ultimately what Martin did was wrong because Simon's sexuality was not his story to tell. Outing Simon took away his agency. It took away what was supposed to be something that was a huge life-changing special experience for him and turned it into a media scandal. And though I fully agree with this angle, I think it also misses the real reason why outing someone as gay could cause real harm. Like, literally a scene before this, Simon was hate crimed, which was a direct result of Martin's actions, and yet the thing that Simon is mad about is not how the way that Martin exposed his identity opened him up to real bullying and harassment, but that it was just simply none of his business, as if this was just petty high school gossip. Not only that, but Martin here is presented as not knowing that any of what happened to Simon would happen, even though the consequences from the start were made very clear. It's almost as if the movie forgot up until this point that Martin was supposed to be a somewhat sympathetic character, so they just made him a complete dumbass in the end instead. It's especially confusing to me because it seemed as though Love Simon was setting Martin up to have a very clear arc. When Martin is initially presented, he seems to see people around him as characters within his own little play where he's the protagonist. Despite Abby's very clear disinterest from the start, Martin insisted on clinging to this idea that somehow he could get Abby to fall in love with him. The most telling line is in his bedroom, where before the Halloween party, Simon is listing off all the things that Martin needs to change to get with Abby. Martin quickly interjects.
Stop! Look, I don't want your help in changing me. I want your help in getting Abby to like me for me.
This is a lie. If Martin wanted Abby to like him for him, he wouldn't be blackmailing her best friend into manipulating her until she's in her good graces. It's clear that rather than changing himself, Martin chose instead to change the narrative surrounding him. By using one of Abby's trusted friends, he could gain her trust by having Simon put in a good word. Martin uses Simon to create a false image of him, which is quite literally the opposite of Abby liking him for him. Martin doesn't once stop to ask himself, wait, what if she just doesn't like me? Like, what if I blackmail Simon, score all these dates, do all these big grand gestures, and she still rejects me? And that's because in his theater kid brain, that's just not a possibility. The protagonist, no matter how nerdy, manipulative, or inadequate, always gets the girl. Once he decided that Abby was his love interest, in his head, their relationship was guaranteed. But the impossible happened. Abby rejected him, completely shattering his weird self-aggrandizing narrative. Against all odds, him, the nerdy protagonist, doesn't get the girl. You'd think that this would be a huge reflective moment for Martin. Knowing everything we know about him, the movie seems to present us with two possibilities. Either Martin takes this experience as a lesson, or he lets this experience propel him into further villainy. Either he realizes that the people in the real world cannot be made to fit into his fiction, or he uses this as a catalyst to get into some real heinous shit. And with Martin outing Simon right after this happens, it seems as though we're heading towards the latter. But Love Simon does something kind of annoying instead. See, Martin outing Simon within the context of the film is not acknowledged as something that was done by a person. Not one person even stops to speculate who may have outed Simon, nor does anybody outright say how terrible it is that that happened. Instead, when Simon is outed, the immediate focus is on his queerness, and not on the method of which everyone who isn't Simon came to know about it. There's no judgment made on Martin, the person who did the actual outing, only on Simon and his choice to keep his sexuality a secret up until this point by any means necessary. This puts Martin in a really weird position, sort of making his act into an act of the universe, not the act of a desperate teenager weaponizing their privilege for a crumb of coochie. The only time the movie actually confronts the morality of doxing Simon is in the scene right after he gets hate crime. The scene where we see the direct consequences of Martin's actions. The idea that Simon's sexuality was just not Martin's story to tell almost works as a perfect wrap-up to his arc. Martin had no regard for messing with Simon and his friends' lives behind the scenes because he believed that they were a part of his story, never stopping to consider that Simon has a story of his own. However, the message falls flat in my eyes for two reasons. I don't know why I keep doing the two reasons things, but I guess that's what we're doing for this whole video. One, the scene starts by Martin trying to apologize to Simon, but listen to what he's saying.
Oh, hey, Simon, hey, can we talk?
I don't have anything to say.
No, please. I just wanted to say that I was sorry, okay? I didn't know or think that people still did shit like that, and I got in a lot of shit for Homecoming, and I wanted everyone to focus on something else, you know? I just didn't think it was gonna be a big thing.
Now, Martin has been threatening Simon with his emails from the start of the movie. He discussed the stakes of said emails, and maybe he didn't know the exact consequences, but he knew some shit would go down once they were leaked. Yet, Martin is claiming that outing Simon was simply an act of ignorance. He just simply didn't know that Simon being gay would be that big of a deal. Except, that literally makes no sense. The entire reason that Martin is the antagonist of Love Simon is because he's using Simon's sexuality as leverage. If he didn't know the implications of that, why would he even use Simon's emails making his sexuality clear as blackmail in the first place? If he didn't think that there would be consequences to Simon coming out, why would he think from the start that threatening to out Simon would even work as manipulation? There's no way for Martin to be calculated enough to use Simon being gay as leverage while simultaneously being ignorant to why that would work in the first place. Second is Simon's reaction. To tell you why Simon's reaction to Martin's apology attempt annoyed me, I have to make clear what Simon's motivations are as a character. What made Simon able to be manipulated by Martin in the first place, besides his apparent queerness? The answer is fear. Fear. Why is it fear? Fear. Simon is terrified of coming out. He's afraid of the consequences of having sexuality be public knowledge, yet he and subsequently the whole movie never really give us a straight answer as to why. Why would this 17-year-old living in a small rural town with only a single out gay kid and unchecked bigots possibly fear the repercussions of being out? Oh. If you're queer in any sense, the answer to that question is probably fairly obvious, and yet Simon never really seems to know where his fear is coming from. There's multiple times throughout, like in the straights coming out scene, or in the gay musical scene, where Simon tries to answer the question of why he's not out yet, but the answers he gives, strangely enough, keep ignoring the big-ass elephant taking up like the entirety of the room. Simon says things like, I'm just not ready for my whole world to change, but doesn't stop to ask why he thinks that would happen. Why does he think that coming out as gay would change his whole world, change him? The answer, for everyone who's queer, is fairly obvious. Homophobia. In a world that systemically discriminates against LGBTQ+ people, being gay is something that you could lose friends and family for. Being gay is something that can change a person's entire perception of you as a person. Being gay is something that's seen as abnormal, the complete antithesis of Simon's insistence that he's just like you. Yet, the only time we really see homophobia acknowledged is when the school bigots harass Simon and Ethan. And notice how it's framed. When the homophobic teens get called out by Miss Albright, she tells them they'll just be those kids that did something shitty in high school. When Martin talks about it, apologizing for even putting Simon in this position in the first place, he says, "I didn't know people still did stuff like that." Despite the fact that these same teens have been homophobic to Ethan throughout the entire movie. You also think that this would be like Simon's worst fear coming to life. Now that he's been outed, he's been ostracized by his peers, blocked by Blue, and abandoned by his friends. In one fell swoop, he seemingly lost everything. But instead of confronting Martin with all this, instead of pointing out just how Martin upturned his entire life, Simon simply says, "That was not your story to tell." It's here that I had a revelation. After watching this movie over and over again, trying to fully articulate just why it rubbed me the wrong way, it finally clicked. Homophobia doesn't exist in the Love, Simon universe. At least, not in the way it exists in the real world. When you look at the movie through this lens, so many other aspects of the movie start to make a lot more sense. The fact that different characters make jokes about Simon being gay and that that's meant to be funny makes sense because the movie defines homophobia as this: people who say slurs and make a blatant mockery of gay people. The reason nobody even thinks about who outed Simon on Creek Secrets is because within the context of the film, this is just petty high school gossip without any wider implication. The reason that Abby gets so angry at Simon is because in her eyes, he simply manipulated her into liking Martin to keep his secret and not out of fear of possibly being hate crime. And the fact that Simon doesn't even cite possible harassment as a reason that he's not ready to come out as gay yet is because in Love, Simon's world, homophobia is something that doesn't really happen outside of a couple of immature assholes. Considering this is a whole coming of age / coming out story, you can imagine how weird the message gets when the movie itself seems uncomfortable with really confronting systemic homophobia. Love, Simon is not afraid to bash you in the head over and over again with this underlying message. Being gay is normal. Don't hide who you are. You know, be who you are in your pride and all that shit. However, because it fails to frame homophobia within the larger context of society, it sort of ends up placing this weird type of morality on coming out. And I think nothing illustrates that better than Abby's reactions to Simon in 2 scenes. We're doing 2 again. When he comes out and when she discovers that he's been manipulating her into liking Martin. When Simon comes out to Abby in his car, she's genuinely supportive of him, as you would expect of a close friend. She acknowledges what Simon told her, agrees to keep it a secret, and even for a short time becomes a supporter in his pursuit of finding Blue. Abby is established as both a friend and an ally, and one of the only characters who is somewhat aware of what's at stake if his sexuality and his relationship with Blue were to come out. Yet when Abby finds out that in order to stay in the closet, Simon has been more or less setting her up on dates with Martin, she cuts that man off, no questions asked. In her eyes, it doesn't matter the reason. Lies and manipulation are lies and manipulation. And so despite the fact that if he didn't do this, he would have been outed and lost Blue, this information was more than enough to completely end the friendship. And, you know, more power to you, girl. Don't put up with this Caucasian nonsense. The problem is, this is the only time the morality of Simon's actions are addressed really at all in relation to the blackmail. This scene with Abby is the only time the movie gets to judge Simon. And its ultimate conclusion was that despite what was at stake, the choice to go along with Martin's little play was the wrong one. When Martin threatened to out Simon, he should have just taken the L and never started messing with his friends' lives. But, what about this fucking walnut? The movie places all of this responsibility on Simon to have done better, but hardly has anything to say about Martin's role in Abby's manipulation. Actually, saying his role completely minimizes it since he's the one who wrote the whole script. Martin presented Simon with an impossible choice: to somehow force his best friend into dating a creep or to come out. And it's insanely messed up. Yet the fact that this wasn't a choice that Simon should have had to make in the first place is just never addressed. Because of all this, it almost feels as though what Martin did, which was lying to his friends for the sake of concealing his identity, is far worse than what Martin did, which was blackmail, lying, manipulation, possibly stalking, and just overall being a scrub. Especially because even though Martin is the antagonist, he gets virtually no repercussions. Simon keeping his sexuality a secret is unreasonable within the eyes of the film. Simon's choice to stay in the closet strains his relationship with his family, it allows him to be vulnerable to manipulation, and it adds unnecessary stress to Simon's life. The only sort of pro that came with concealing his queerness was the quiet cultivation of Simon's romantic relationship with Blue, and even that is shown to be emotionally taxing. Blue's apprehension to revealing his identity causes Simon visual pain. We see him time and time again having his hopes shattered after making some wild assumption about some rando who vaguely matches the personality described in his inbox. The only time we see Simon being genuinely happy and comfortable in his identity is when he's emailing Blue, and at the end of the film where, after already being outed, Simon decides to make a formal coming out post on Creek's Secret that magically makes everybody respect him and gays everywhere. Both Simon and Bram keeping their sexuality to themselves is shown to be pointless at best and actively deceitful and harmful at worst. And hey, that's kind of weird. As uplifting and empowering as coming out can be, coming out when you're not ready or don't feel safe can be the exact opposite. Like, as out and proud as I am online, in real life there aren't many spaces where I can be my full queer self without being targeted. And even though I can't speak for every queer person, I know a fair few people who also experience having to stay in the closet as a means of survival. Khadija Mbo, during the making of the script, made a whole video on coming out culture. How in the West there seems to be this idea that every LGBTQ+ person has to have this big coming out moment, this point where we proudly stand and declare our identity and start our lives as fully realized members of the woke army, and how this might not actually demonstrate reality. Love, Simon is a product of this culture, emphasizing the theatrics of coming out, and even though real life to a certain extent was going to be dramatized, this is a rom-com after all. The way that it positions queerness as a story in need of telling rather than an identity in need of protection causes the viewer to see Simon almost the same way we see Martin. Someone who only sees the people around him as characters in their gay rom-com. In the end, this makes the conflict of the story a power struggle between who controls the story's narrative, rather than an in-depth look into a closeted queer teen's life. And the resolution of the conflict is even weirder because Simon is the only one who is at all punished. Simon is directly told by Abby that he had no excuse for taking away her agency, and even though he had a similar conversation with Martin, Simon momentarily loses everything for this mistake and doesn't gain anything back until he rectifies it by forcibly taking back his narrative and apologizing to the people that he hurt. Martin gets clowned on for 3 seconds. That's it. He doesn't get doxxed. He did his grand gesture right before Christmas break so he doesn't have to face the humiliation in person. And when the harassment got too much for him to handle, he successfully diverted attention away from him onto Simon. With Martin having no meaningful repercussions, no big moment where he admits wrongdoing and changes as a person, it feels as though the movie weighs Simon's actions much heavier than it weighs Martin's. And what does Simon do other than protect himself in the only way that he could? What were the consequences to Simon's actions other than slightly delaying his 2 straight friends from hooking up? Like, that's literally the only result of Simon's manipulation. Sure, manipulation's bad, but y'all literally end up together. Why are you mad? Martin blackmailed Simon for months, basically forced Simon to manipulate Abby, then nearly destroyed Simon's life when his plan didn't go his way. And he didn't even get half of the percussions. The percussions? We playing drums now. And he didn't even get half of the repercussions that Simon got. Whether this was just the writers getting too lazy to fully flesh out Martin's arc, or simply unconscious bias, Love, Simon very clearly positions straight characters' relationships to be more important, and their motives to be more justifiable than the queer characters. Because Simon's story, as the main character, is about making his queer identity fit within normal society, there's nothing really to challenge the notion that Simon should have just disclosed his queerness from the start to avoid stepping on any straight person's toes. Unless... Okay, this shit's already way too long. I'll make this brief. As the only other confirmed gay until the end of the film, it's obvious that the writers wanted Ethan to be a clear contrast to Simon. While Simon is unassuming, mild-mannered, and dresses like back-to-school at Kohl's, Ethan is flamboyant, sassy, and stylish. In this standard, I wouldn't dress like this. With his perfectly permed hair and deliciously witty comebacks, Ethan's queerness is no secret. It's apparent, and is acknowledged as such multiple times throughout the film. Ethan is the definition of out and proud, a representation of what straight people imagine when they think of a gay dude. When we first see him presented in Love, Simon, he seems to exist for one of 2 reasons. to put the resident homophobes in their place, and unfortunately, to be the butt of a joke. But there's one scene that, though brief, gives us insight into the way that Ethan, as a black gay teen, experiences the world, and adds far more depth to him than most or even all of the other characters in Love, Simon. The principal's office, when Simon says that Ethan has it easy, he responds with this.
Easy? Are you kidding me? My mom still tells my grandparents about all the girls I'm dating when we go over to their house for dinner every Sunday. She says it's because they're old and religious, and it's just easier that way. I don't know, maybe that's true. But you should hear her voice when she talks about the girls.
Though Ethan seems incredibly open about his queerness, he's forced to hide his sexuality when he visits his grandparents. This character, who's presented as being comfortable with themselves, still has times and places where they have to stifle their own identity. Now, I'm pretty sure the actual intent of this was for Simon to realize that Ethan's life as a queer person isn't nearly as simple as he thought. That just because someone who seems loud and proud doesn't mean that they don't have their own struggles surrounding their queerness. So, basically, this was just here for Simon to be like, wow, that's crazy, and then quickly move on. But as a black queer person, this made me want to learn so much more about Ethan's story. I have often been in positions where I had to hide my queerness from older members of my family because it was before their time, or because they were very religious and wouldn't accept me otherwise. What's more is that while Simon is hiding his queerness for the purpose of maintaining this weird idea of normalcy, Ethan does so to make other people around him comfortable. While Simon's queerness is less apparent and therefore can easily fit within the pre-established world, Ethan's is so obvious that he has to shrink himself down, temporarily abandon his authentic self for the sake of maintaining a good relationship with his family. This, no doubt, would create a complicated relationship between him, his identity, his family, and even the world around him. While Simon insists that he's just like you, Ethan does no such thing. And because of this, we learn so much more about the queer struggle in the 10 minutes he's on screen than in the nearly hour and a half that Simon is. This need to make Simon normal completely waters down any message of acceptance that Love, Simon was trying to articulate. But through Ethan, we see, even just for a brief moment, the way that the world really treats people like us, and how Ethan still chooses to be himself regardless. With Ethan being the main character, there's the potential to make a much more nuanced and intersectional stance on coming out, and on self-acceptance in general. But, nah. We can't have the Blackie be the main character. How else will it be relatable? And yes, I know, this is based on the book Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens, in which Simon is in fact the main character. But come on. You ain't gonna tell me that Ethan, as the protagonist, wouldn't have made this film so much more interesting? I know damn well that if Martin tried to blackmail Ethan the way that they blackmail Simon, that Dandruff Flake's life would be in tatters. Love, Simon is severely lacking when it comes to critically analyzing queer people's relationships with the world around them. This movie insists on trying to fit queerness within the confines of society, on trying to normalize it without fully acknowledging why it needs to be normalized in the first place. Simon lacking any intersections outside of him being gay gives us a very surface level look into what someone who is closeted might think and experience. If we had Ethan as the protagonist, we would see a world where acceptance doesn't come just because you asked for it. We would see a world where you assimilate or you get harassed. You see a world that's not always safe for the girls and the gays, so it would make far more sense to be a bit hesitant about coming out. At the end of the day, being gay is normal does nothing to actually progress us towards liberation. After all, I'm not just like you. Because of my identities, I live a vastly different life in a vastly different world than most straight and cis people. Queerness should not have to be normal for you to accept yourself, and it should not have to be normal for people to respect queer people. So, stan Ethan. And if your name is Martin, you're on thin ice, buddy. I hope y'all enjoyed this obnoxiously long video on a movie from half a decade ago that literally no one is talking nor cares about anymore. This was my longest script ever. It's about 15 pages and it took me so long to finish it, so I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button and subscribe to manipulation. Direct manipulation. I hope this video turned out to be as good as I want it to be. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe down below for more videos of me talking about things that I care about. Follow me on all my socials. I started to be real goofy on Twitter, so if you like something like this, then like, you should go over to the Bird app and hit that follow button. I love y'all. Thank you so much for supporting me. This is TMG signing out. Peace.